I'm curious about that. How is that presence in Mexico and in Spanish shaped your own work?
Uh, well, first of all, moving to Mexico has not been like experiencing euthanasia,
Yeah.
thankfully. I came about 4 years ago, and I had rudimentary Spanish. And when I first came, I was in a personal place where I wanted to go somewhere where I kind of didn't really know many people, and I could sort of reset um, and study Spanish and learn Spanish.
Hmm.
And I had read a lot of work in Spanish or in translation, and I had even done one small translation of a Bolivian poet's book, Jaime Sáenz, who's really a wonderful writer. But when I came here, the language was spoken so much more quickly. Chilango, Mexico City slang, and the sort of way people speak, the words they use, is very different than what I had in the dictionary of my mind. And so I was kind of isolated in a way, which was perfect for what I was looking for. And my first experiences were very poor conversations, which were fun, but you get really thrown back on your heels when you can't speak the language well. People have no idea who you are. You feel like you have to go through a somewhat long process of almost translating your personality into a new language. And
Hmm.
that for me meant learning the local manner of speaking, the local slang, really, the humor, the sense of humor, which is so particular here. And uh, so self-deprecating and so cutting. And so I went through life kind of thinking, oh, I like that phrase. That define I want to use that phrase because it made me laugh in a way that I want to make other people laugh. Or oh, I like the way that sounds. I'm going to incorporate it. I'm going to use it and see how it feels. If it didn't feel right for myself, then I would stop using it. But it was a very slow process. Now I feel I can speak perfectly fine. But it also meant that I was dealing with a lot of uh, reading that I didn't entirely understand or completely understand 100% of, 60% maybe. So there was a lot of space on the page that was just empty, blank projections of what I thought the author might be saying or what I hoped she might be saying or all these things. And that to me is a very, very important part of language, a very important space of language. The language that as one who is learning a language, one does not understand. And it's this kind of ideal language for me, that the words that you don't understand on a page or that you don't grasp, because you really feel in those moments that this kind of ideal space of language, this kind of maximal potential of language where um, yeah, like it's really an emotional space of language. And so in my own writing, I try sometimes to create that kind of feeling within English, uh, using words in odd ways or um,
Yeah.
sentences that don't entirely cohere. Or this, I do this more in what I would call poetry or prose poems, things like that, less in the kind of specifically narrative stuff. But that would be a kind of a more purely linguistic space. On a more cultural space, uh, I, I found in the Latin American tradition a very, very rich, uh, adventuresome imagination and an emphasis on the imagination in many ways that I don't really find in that many US American writers.